Okay, thanks, Tom. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Another good day for Charlotte football. Um, really pleased we were able to sign in the second signing period, and I'm really pleased with the guys we have on campus. It's been very good, and at some point we'll invite you all out for a morning workout. And let you see what's happening there. I'm very pleased with strength and conditioning, Lou Carella, and the kids, have been incredibly enthusiastic and compliant and worked really hard. And then this group here kind of puts us in a very good spot. So I'll answer any questions you might have.
Hey, Biff, Nick Carboni, good to see you.
Hey, Nick.
And thank you for doing this. I guess with today's signings, the handful that came in today, what's kind of the overarching theme in your mind of the guys that you were able to sign today?
Well, we were able to get a very experienced seasoned kicker, which is really important, the way we want to play. We want to play great defense, we want to run the football. So kicking the ball is really important to us. And Jake Larson's really good at that. Very accurate, very good player. So very happy about him on special teams. Very happy about 3 freshmen, 2 linebackers. Young Bates from DeMatha in the DMV, a really good football player, starter for DeMatha, all WCAC player. His tape is unbelievable. And he's a really good kid. We have a group of young linebackers that we've brought in that starting back in our first class, a few freshmen that we brought in, and then Demir Burton from Georgia. These are 3 guys that are, just outstanding young football players. These guys will contribute right away, I think, with special teams. They're all in that kind of 6'2" to 6'3" range, 220 to 30 pounds, and are very athletic, and you can't have, and are really physical football guys. So you can't have enough of those bodies. I think it's really important that we get a kid from DeMatha because that's a powerhouse in DMV, and they've got a lot of good players. A lot of good players we're recruiting, and then we had a really exciting slot receiver, running back. Every way you can get him the ball, really. Dwayne Thomas is just unbelievable. He's from Miami, and he is electrifying. We're very fortunate to have him. Just loved him on our visit. Loved his film, and actually loved his dad. Dad's an unbelievable story, unbelievable guy, and this kid is going to be a great addition to us offensively. And by the way, he also is a kick returner and pretty dynamic. So those young guys, I think, are really very pleased with them. And then we got another defensive lineman who can play kind of multiple places on the defensive line, from kind of a big end into a 5 into even a 4-eye. He can certainly play a 4-eye. And that's Greg Huggins from Purdue. So, another 4-star kid that's coming here with us, and feel very good about what he's going to be able to do. I feel very good about our defense. Our defense is going to be, I think, pretty elite, and then offensively, I feel very good about that too. So good couple of months of recruiting for us, and 2 very good signing days.
Hey, Coach. Jason Brown with Spectrum News One. It's my first chance to officially introduce myself to you. So welcome to Charlotte.
Thank you.
Um,
Hey, Jason.
um, I'm curious as to, you mentioned some of these guys that you signed today and their ability to contribute right away, whether it's on special teams or wherever that may be. How do you feel you've helped reshape this roster going forward? Or do you have a sort of an opinion as far as how you've maybe changed this roster a little bit?
Okay, Jason. Good question. You never know completely until you get into spring practice and see. But I do know a lot of these guys, and the staff has been really diligent on the evaluations of these players, and I would say that um, you know, without getting too far out over my skis, we brought in one 5-star guy. We brought in, I think, 12 now 4-star guys, and 28 3-star guys. I mean, we've totally reshaped the roster, and we're bigger, a lot bigger than the old roster was. We're much more experienced. We have 40 or so Power 5 players that have come onto the roster that have played in big time games and big time conferences. And so I think, we've, and that's not to say there wasn't some good players here, because there are. We've been very pleased with some of the guys on the roster here. Really think they're going to be really good players. We think we're going to have a really good football team. But that's how I think we've kind of changed it around a little bit.
Will Kunkel here with Fox Charlotte, Charlotte Sports Live. Nice to meet you. Kind of.
Hey, Will.
Have you seen a surprised look on anybody's face around campus when you're getting some of these recruits? It's new for Charlotte. Have you had those conversations like, holy smokes, this is different for us here?
Yeah, had a lot of them, starting with the athletic director. He was at a few workouts, and when I was on the road recruiting, and he was at a workout, and sent me a text and said, "Holy smokes, never seen anything like that here." So, yeah, a lot of that, and want to see. I'm really looking forward to people coming out and taking a look themselves at the spring game. We're going to have that very accessible, and we're really looking forward to. And after a good winter workout, which we're just beginning, and a good spring practice, I'm really looking forward to seeing them myself, kind of showing off this new look team.
How are you dealing with NIL and that? Because we hear about it all the time with the big schools and the big players. If you're getting 5 stars going to Charlotte, how does that play a role, and how you doing with that?
Well, the way we're doing it is, by the way, Nick Saban's an old and dear friend of mine, and if he was here, I'd kiss him on the lips, because what he said the other day in the press about telling us to, whoever they were, wanted $1 million or something for NIL, telling them to go find another place. I think that's really important. And the way we've handled it is, look, you're coming to the greatest city in the country to play college football, if you're any good. Because there's more Fortune 500 companies domiciled in Charlotte than there are any place in the country except New York City. So you talk about horsepower and business power, and it's the banking center of the country, which means de facto it's the banking center of the world. You could just tick down the companies. They're powerhouses. The city's new, it's vibrant, it's clean, it's safe. They got everything. The city has everything except big time companies. And that's what we're going to give it. And if you're any good, you're going to make your own NIL by betting on yourself. And so the way we're handling it is we're working on financial literacy with the team. We're going to be teaching that a couple times a week. There's some really cool programs we're working on with that. They're going to have to do an internship in the summer in town with, these legitimate companies. They have to put their ties on and their jackets and go down there and be real human beings. And then people get to go watch them on the field. And if they are good people, good students, playing very well, I think NIL will be the last thing they need to worry about in this town. It's not like we're going to some, play some little town somewhere that's the, where some state university is or some private university. I can think of a bunch of them. I mean, this is unbelievable. Where else can you do that? You can't do it anyplace, with a number of legitimate Fortune 500 companies here. So it's NIL, the city, the program selling itself. All we got to do is get you on campus. And then it's kind of lights out.
Thank you.
I'll ask another one, Biff. We saw some North Carolina names on obviously the big signing day in December, the first one, or I guess. How is that going? Recruiting the area, making those inroads, specifically in Charlotte for you guys.
Yeah, that's a good question. Another good question, Nick. One of the things is that like when I got hired, I heard from the Charlotte coaches. I mean, they were not bashful in letting me know kind of what their expectations were. High school coaches, and having been a high school coach for 30 years, I really appreciate those guys and what they do, and they often don't say much, high school coaches, and when they do talk, it pays to listen to them. So one of the big things that they were interested in is getting out and recruiting Charlotte. And when I say Charlotte, I mean kind of like the 90-minute footprint around the city. And so what we decided to do, and this was my staff came up with this, is really good work with them. We have every coach now we divided Charlotte into sections, 10 sections. And every coach has a section in Charlotte. And every coach has a region in North Carolina. And then, I am the last guy on the deal team. They shoot me in when they feel like they want to do that. So my first week recruiting that we could be on the road, actually more than a week, I spent all of my time going to schools in the Charlotte area. And I would say that the reception was very good, but they want to see follow through. And so I would say that they're like, that they want me to put my money where my mouth is, as far as saying we're going to recruit and put a ring fence around Charlotte. And we started that, but that's a process. And building a relationship with coaches, building a relationship with players, and being seen, being seen. So the next time the NCAA lets me get out on the road or get out on the road, we will be starting in Charlotte.
Hey, Biff, this is Herb Party at the Charlotte Post again. Happy New Year.
Hey,
my question is, in taking the young people that you've signed at this point, do you have a feel or an expectation of how many of these guys are going to be day one starters, or is that all to be thrown into one big old pot and say, go earn that job? I mean,
yeah, it's got to be a complete meritocracy, right? Because, they've got to get out there and compete. I will just tell you this, we did not sign anybody or bring anybody in that we thought didn't have a really good chance to change the trajectory of our football. And so, and Herb, what's happened too is as we get into workouts and stuff, and we're meeting more kids that are on the roster. I mean, there's some good football players on the roster. So I think you take this group we've brought in, you take, the guys that the better players that are on the roster, and there are guys on the roster, sure. we got a shot to, to really, to do some good things. Now, look, there are going to be some guys on the roster, when we get through spring that, who will get into portal, will get in that spring segment of the portal because they, if you're a college football player, you want to play. And if you don't think you can play, then you get in the portal to try to go to a place where you can. And so I think we'll see, some of that, but I think we're going to see some really exciting football too. On the, when you all come on the 22nd of April, that should be pretty cool.
Thanks.
Coach Hunter Bailey, real quick, I just wanted to ask you about your quarterback position. Obviously, you brought on Jalen Jones not too long ago, and then Xavier Williams and James Foster are returning. Can you just talk about that room and kind of what you expect from those guys this up? Right.
Local kid Carson Black, who's a really good player, and we got two walk-ons in that room that are really good players too. Yeah, so I'm excited about that room. You can't be any you can't be any good if you are not good at the quarterback spot. And I think we've got guys that can take over that spot. I also think that there are good enough players in that room that we're going to be able to do some really interesting things with those guys too. And we'll have to get into practice in the spring and see who winds up winning that job. But I can tell you there's an awful lot of ability in that room. And Jalen Jones, by the way, he's very dangerous.
Does anyone have any follow-up questions? Or is everyone good for the time being?
All good. Coach, hopefully next time we talk, no more technical difficulties.
Yeah. Did I have technical difficulties today or did you?